Jesus said, you're always going to have the poor. I mean, the reality is in human life and experience, there are always going to be some hard places. But how do we make it a better place? How do we advance the opportunity and the outcomes to live in an abundant life of kingdom life that Jesus articulates and models and so on? And with all that in mind, and you're talking about your generation and the one behind, and that this is the inevitable march of the conversation. In other words, like it or not.
That's right.
Here, it's there. And all the cable news you watch that may try and change the subject is not going to be able to escape the reality. This is coming. That's your view. And you also reference that you're persuaded that these generations that are moving towards center stage are not going to look to the government or politics in the way that has been known by earlier generations. And actually, I'm leading the witness here. Isn't there kind of like a trust deficit institutionally that many of the institutions that we've taken for granted as stabilizing anchors are increasingly in a zone of they're not being trusted. And the younger generation you are, the less amount of trust you have, whether that be the government or a university or a church or what.
Yeah, I would say, Ryan, if you could pull up, there's this article that David Brooks wrote in The Atlantic, and he talks about this kind of revulsion of what's happening in our country today. And at the thesis of the article is that social trust has eroded to a dangerous level. And what we previously placed trust in, previous institutions like the church or government, et cetera, that we no longer are in a position where we are offering moral authority to the places or to the people who once held moral authority. And so
it cannot be assumed.
It cannot be assumed that trust is going to grow. And so this piece from Brooks is truly, in my view, it's actually the best thing I've read in years in terms of a spot-on analysis of our current American moment. And it is my belief that social trust can be rebuilt, but it is going to require a kind of innovation and a commitment to thinking about neighbor differently, which is, of course, no surprise here, very much a Jesus idea. But it is going to require neighbors loving neighbors in spite of their differences. And it's going to require that at scale, as opposed to the thought that that the current or previous institutions that have been entrusted are going to be doing that. And I've bought that premise.
New systems,
new organizations, new delivery systems for neighbors loving neighbors.
And the word new implies something that has not been before, but actually that brings us all the way back to the circle. Because you're in this, because Jesus actually defined that for you.
When I was 14, 15 years old, questioning, who can I trust? In what shall I place my trust? Can I trust that there is a future for me in light of the fact that when I look at my past, I do not trust? In the form of a college student, Jesus of Nazareth walked into my life and said, you can trust me. You can bow your knee to me and place your trust in me. I can carry your cynicism. I can carry your political fervor. I can carry your anxiety. I can carry your pain. I can carry your past, and I can carry your future. But in order to do that, you're going to have to bury the treasure, sell everything, and buy the whole field, Ben. And that is, in essence, Jim, that has been the goal of my life. Sometimes, some days are better than others.
It's risky business, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because even as we observed, your whole on pursuit of that Jesus has led you into places that have provoked threats and difficulties and challenges and punches that you could avoid. by playing it more safe. All of that to say, what would you say, Ben Sand, to an audience listening to this thinking, I don't know if I can do that?
I learned of a friend. Her name's Margot. And I just heard a story about this decision that she made to begin to make these meals on Mondays. And she's kind of selling them to her friends. And for every meal that she sells, she's making another meal to give it to someone who is in need, to give it to someone who cannot afford a meal. And I would say that that's scalable for you as the listener. Who is it in your neighborhood that is hungry? Who is it in your neighborhood that is lonely? Who is it in your neighborhood that deserves the dignity of a home-cooked meal?
Or the person at the DHS office.
That's right. Where ought you to deliver a bratwurst? I don't think that that the goal is some sort of scalable solution for everyone. I think the scalable solution is everyone loving their neighbor. Some of us are built and wired and asked to build the delivery system, and some of us just need to deliver the meal.